Hello, good evening and a warm welcome to everybody here and welcome to the panel on research cooperation at research and technology organizations in the Indo-German context. I hope all of you have been able to attend the rest of the panel so far and gotten really good insight into how to fund your research, how to fund research projects, how to initiate research cooperations, and have gotten a lot of information also by visiting the booths. This is our last panel for today and also a very interesting one. I am Adishri Jamkhedkar and I'm the program manager for the German Center for Research and Innovation in New Delhi in India. And it's a pleasure for me to host these panelists today, joining from India and Germany. In this panel, we are going to understand a little bit about how the research performing organizations, mainly the research and technology organizations, have their distinct profiles, understand a little bit about their international strategies, and also opportunities for research collaborations and also for individual research. For the audience, if you are seeing us live at the moment, there's also a possibility for you to ask questions. Please type in your questions as the event progresses, and I will take them up either in between or at the end of the event. Now, let me start off by introducing our really esteemed panelists that we have here today. I will start with Ms. Anandi Iyer. Ms. Anandi Iyer is the director and head of Fraunhofer Society's India office. She has been working in this field of collaborative technology and innovation in the Indo-European corridor for the last 20 years. She has led many leadership roles. She was also advisor to Germany's Federal Ministry of Education and Research, which is the BMBF, for many years. She has repeatedly broken through several glass ceilings as she works in the multinational field of R&D and innovation. Ms. Iyer, it's a pleasure to have you on this panel. Thank you so much for joining. I am now.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Look forward to the discussions.
Thank you, Ms. Iyer. Thank you. I'm now going to introduce Ms. Eva Potzius, who is the Manager of International Affairs at the Forschungszentrum Juelich, which is a part of the Leibniz Association, the largest non-university research organization in Germany. In her role, Ms. Potzius links the international executive strategy with activities of the Juelich scientists, supervises foreign collaborations, strategic alliances, and is responsible for international networking and initiation of cooperation projects. She has previously led international offices for the German Academic Exchange Service and has also been in charge of the Indo-German Center for Sustainability, which is located at the IIT Madras in India. Ms. Potzius, thanks a lot for joining us today. Our next panelist is Ms. Poonam Sehgal-Suri, who manages the India office of the Max PlanckSociety. She, in her role, is working to enhance existing research cooperations between Max Planck and Indian research institutions as well as universities. She also helps in recruitment of PhD positions at the Max Planck institutions across Germany. She has previously worked for the German Research Foundation, DFG, and Alexander von Humboldt Foundation. Thanks a lot for joining us, Poonam. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for the brief introduction, Adishri. I'm very looking forward to the discussions today.
Thank you, Poonam. Thanks a lot. Our next panelist is Dr. Almo Vitols from the Leibniz Association. Dr. Vitols is the International Relations Officer at the head office of the Leibniz Association in Berlin. She supports the president of the Leibniz Association in strategy development in the field of international affairs. She informs at international events on activities of the association and the affiliated institutions, and also on career opportunities for international scientists. Furthermore, she advises research institutions on internationalization and activities and actively promotes the Leibniz Association abroad through delegation visits. She has previously worked at a Max Planck Society office and is currently interrogating the question whether India can be the new China. Thank you so much, Dr. Vitols, for being here on the panel.
And good evening.
Thanks, Dr. Vitols. Our fifth panelist is Dr. Rama Bansal, who is from the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research. This is a CSIR in India, which is an initiative of the Indian government's Ministry of Science and Technology. She is currently the head of International Science and Technology Affairs. She has a rich experience of initiating and managing international science and technology cooperation programs over the last 26 years and has also worked for the DST in the past. She also served as the counselor and head of the Science and Technology Wing in Russia in Moscow earlier. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Bunsel. With this, we have the panel complete, and I'm very happy to host all of you here. We see you, Dr. Bunsel. Thank you so much. I'm going to start the panel by trying to understand these institutions a little bit. So starting from Germany. So if you look at Germany's research landscape, there are a wide variety of research performing organizations, including non-university research organizations, such as the ones that we have here on the panel. But with these profiles, it can be for an outsider a little bit confusing as to what is distinctly happening. What are the activities, in terms of basic research, applied research, where does the funding come from, etc. So I would like to ask all of you in a nutshell, so just a 2-minute input on what are the distinct profiles of all of your organizations so that the audience gets an idea on that. So let me start with Max Planck institutions. Ms. Sagar, could you please give me a 2-minute input on the topic?
Thank you, Adishri. So the Max Planck Society, basically they conduct basic research in the field of natural sciences, life sciences, social sciences, and humanities. The Max Planck Society, with its 86 Max Planck institutions and facilities, is the international flagship for German science. In addition to our 5 foreign institutions, we also operate 20 Max Planck centers with research institutions such as Princeton University in the USA, the Paris University Sciences Po in France, the University College London in the UK, and the University of Tokyo in Japan. Since our foundation in 1948, 20 Nobel laureates have emerged from its ranks of scientists. Max Planck Society has an annual budget of 1.9 billion euros in 2019. And as you had also mentioned that we recruit PhD students, so in 2016, we offered more than 3,300 PhD students from all over the world an international working environment and excellent research facilities. In addition, nearly 3,000 young scientists have taken on postdoctoral positions at various MPIs in Germany. So this will be from me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sagar. Now I go over to the Fraunhofer Society. So Ms. Iyer, if you could tell us what's Fraunhofer about.
Thank you, Adishri. Fraunhofer is one of the world's largest applied research organizations, definitely Europe's largest. We have 74 institutes that cover the entire length and breadth of science and engineering, and about 28,000 employees with advanced degrees in science and technology. And we earn about roughly 2.8 billion euros per annum, out of which 70%, between 50 to 70% comes from direct projects with the industry or the public sector. And for every euro that 2 euros that we earn, the German government gives us 1 euro to top up for risk projects which are not underwritten by the industry. So I think many people here would know Fraunhofer from the MP3 software or the white LEDs. These are some of our inventions, but of course there are many, many more. And we are present in India for more than 12 years. I will probably talk a little more later when we get into the talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Iyer. I will come to the India office a little bit later. I would like to go next to the Leibniz Association. So Dr. Vitols, if you could tell us about Leibniz in Germany.
A pleasure. The Leibniz Association is one of the 4 non-university research organizations. So all four of us are umbrella organizations, really. And the Leibniz Association has 96 member institutes. And the research that they do ranges from the humanities and social sciences and economics to history, but also to the natural sciences, life sciences, mathematics, engineering, and environmental sciences. And actually, especially in the environmental sciences, such as water management, just to mention one example, there are very strong collaborations with India. And as I said, the institutes are publicly funded, and they're not universities, they're research institutes. So they're medium-sized, about 300 people per institute. And all of them are located in Germany. We don't have any international offices, but we would be delighted if you were to come to join a Leibniz Institute of your choice and work there, either as a PhD or a postdoc or a senior researcher or even a professor.
So much, Dr. Vitols. Thank you also for welcoming researchers to Leibniz. And then moving on to the Forschungszentrum Juelich, Ms. Possius, over to you for a short input. Ms. Possius, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hear you now. Please go ahead.
To be a little bit of a technical problem. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hosting us. It's a great pleasure to see so many 296 participants. Adishri, thank you for the introduction. I am not speaking for the Helmholtz Association, but I can explain a little bit about it. As you indicated, we have very different research fields. So Jülich is one of the Helmholtz centers in Germany. We have 19 of them, and they work in certain programs. That is called the program funding in the research areas of energy, earth and environment, health, aeronautics, space and transport, matter, and key technologies. With about 39,000 employees, it's a very big organization, and an annual budget, which it gets mostly from the BMBF, our ministry, is 4 billion euro. But we do have 30% external funding there. And I already said Jülich is one of the centers. I would just say that as all Helmholtz centers, we focus on application-inspired basic research. So that is different from Fraunhofer or from the fundamental research in Leibniz and Max Planck. We conduct research for a changing society. This is the mission of more than 6,000 employees here at Juelich, working hand in hand, including 600 visiting scientists from about 59 countries. We conduct research into the possibilities of a digitized society, a climate-friendly energy system, and a resource-efficient economy. We combine natural sciences, life sciences, and engineering sciences in the field of information, energy, and the bioeconomy, with specialist expertise in high-performance computing. And we use unique scientific infrastructures that are unrivaled in Europe. And this is so far, in a nutshell, what I have to say about Jülich. And please find out more about Helmholtz at the booth. Ms. Rosenbach is there to answer your questions, or at our booth of Jülich. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bostius, for your input. Thanks a lot, all of the panelists, for giving idea about your institutions. And yes, as they said, more information is available at the booths in the virtual fair. You can have one-to-one interactions with representatives there. So please also go there later on after this panel to find out more. I'm going to move from Germany to India now and check if Dr. Rama Bansal, who seems to have a bit of a technical problem, is able to hear us and can also give us an idea about the CSIR in India. So, Dr. Bunsel, if you hear me, how is CSIR placed? I mean, as a body of research institutions, is it similar to any of these institutions that we just heard about from Germany? If you could give me a short input on that.
Atishi, your voice is not very clear. But what I have understood is perhaps you're asking me to talk a bit about CSIR. So
Yes, Eva. Yes, Dr. Bunsel, like input on the profile.
can you hear me now?
Yes, you are audible and visible very clearly.
So Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, in short CSIR, is the largest public funded organization in India which conducts scientific and industrial research in various industrial sectors. Some of the distinct features, if I can say, about CSIR is that CSIR is blessed with the highest level of support. We are the only non-strategic research organization in India which is being governed and guided by the Prime Minister of our country as our society's president. CSR has 38 multidisciplinary industrial research institutes that carry out R&D activities. CSR has pan-India presence. Our institutes are spread across India. The R&D activities are aligned with the national priorities. However, to remain focused and avoid duplication of efforts, our institutes have been networked in 8 priority technology-oriented projects and themes. The main focus, if I can say, of our activities is on advancing knowledge, generating future science leaders, fueling economic growth, catering to strategic needs of the country, and achieving social welfare, most importantly. Annually, CSR gets grant of about 8,000, gives grant to about 8,000 research fellows to pursue their doctoral and postdoctoral research in India. Annually, over 5,000 research papers are published. We have a rich IP portfolio. That's all I can say about the CSIR. I hope I was audible.
Yes, Dr. Bunsel, you were audible and visible, and we heard your input very loud and clear. Thank you so much for that introduction of CSIR. I would like to stay with you for the next input. So I'm going to go a little bit in the direction of internationalization of these institutes and portfolios. So CSIR had a delegation visit of the directors of several institutes to Germany last year in November. And you visited mainly institutes and universities in the field of chemical, physical, and engineering sciences. What is CSIR's interest in Germany? Do you have projects planned? And as a researcher, like a general researcher, can somebody approach you for collaborations? Dr. Bunsel, did you hear my question? So we're supporting her with the yeah. Now I see that you are here.
Long-term collaborations with Germany, and I'm very happy to mention that CSIR was the first organization with which India-Germany linkage had started way back in 1956, when we didn't have the intergovernmental agreement in place, which came only in 1974. If I talk about the past, we have had very successful collaborations with the Max PlanckSociety, with Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, with the DLR, with Forschungszentrum Juelich. But at the moment, we have very close collaborations going on with the DRD, with the BMBF. And I'm happy to mention that the recent partner, the formal partnership has started with the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft in the last year itself. So these are in terms of collaborative arrangements CSR has with Germany. And in addition to these, our institutions are also participating in almost all the intergovernmental arrangement, the funding programs that India is operating with Germany, including the ones operated by DST, DFG, DBT, ICMR, and Indo-German S&T Center. Thank you.
So much. Thank you, Dr. Bansal. I'll come with another question to you a little bit later. Now I would like to move to Fraunhofer Gesellschaft. Ms. Iyer, you mentioned that you have been in India for about 12 years now, and you've been representing Fraunhofer's office here. So my simple question would be, why India? What does strategically Fraunhofer see in India, and what are the areas that you focus on?
Yeah, so, for Fraunhofer, like I said, we are demand driven. So there has to be a very strong business case to be present in any country. So when we started 12 years back, the understanding was that India is of huge geostrategic importance and the fact that it's one of the biggest markets of the world. And additionally, innovation was, at the cusp. So it was very clear that in the next 1 or 2 years or 5 years, this is going to only go up. So therefore, we believe that we have a very strong case in India, and which was proven later because we really got a lot of industry recognition and partnerships, as well as working together with the government has become very, very intense in preparing roadmaps and technology partnerships, technology scouting, etc. In terms of the scouting that we do and the areas of focus in India, we primarily stay with the science and engineering. So we have manufacturing technologies, production technologies, which is one of the key areas of focus. And under that, you have machine tools, you have automotive, you have railways, and all transportation concepts. EV, that is, battery storage and electric mobility is another huge area that we are working with in India. Also, renewable energies, the entire bandwidth, whether it's solar, wind, hybrid, or other kinds of technology around the renewable energy bouquet is also a very, very strong area. Smart materials and increasingly digitalization and artificial intelligence. So these are the big buckets in which we find inquiries and requests for partnership coming in. But of course, any research challenge is of great interest to us. And I must say that over the last 12 years, we have earned more than 30 million euros in India, between 26 and 30 million euros. That comes both from industry as well as government, which is being paid to us. So there is obviously a huge demand for contract R&D in India, and we are happy to be here at the right time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Iyer. That's an impressive number. That's an impressive number that you mentioned right now. So speaking about contractual research, so we know that the focus is on contractual research. How is it for individual researchers from India and Germany, if they are interested in working with Fraunhofer, how can they go about it? Can they approach you? Can they approach individual institutes in Germany?
So there are two ways that individual researchers can work with Fraunhofer. One is, of course, that 30% of our employee base is a floating population of doc and postdoc students. So this is something that we value immensely because these are the young researchers that question status quo and add value to any research challenge. So therefore, they can apply, but there's a very, it's a very, it's basically merit based, and you have to look into the websites of the various institutes. There are call for internships and postdoc doc positions. And I must tell you here, we are very happy that there's an increasing number of Indian doc and postdocs in Fraunhofer institutes today in comparison to what it was 4 to 5 years back. The second way is, of course, startups. So if there are young people who are on the verge of a startup who already have a spin-off or a startup, then they can approach us. We have a very, very strong unit called the Fraunhofer Venture. We do talk to people and see if there is a collaboration, but directly working on projects is a little difficult because we have an NDA with the client and a very clear understanding of what the client wants and what Fraunhofer can bring in. So it's a little difficult to bring in individual researchers, but the other two modes of approaching us and working with us is completely open, and we welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Iyer. There was a question actually related to what you just said about from the audience. So somebody had asked about innovative startup plan for electric mobility by Indo-German collaboration, and you just answered that this can be a prospective suggestion for Fraunhofer Venture. So please, you could look that up. the question, whoever it comes from in the audience, and please also go to their booth in the virtual section. You would get more information, and there's material also available for you there. So you spoke about a focus on science and engineering, Ms. Iyer. So from there, I'm going to take it to the Max Planck Institute. So a question for you, Ms. Sagar-Sui. We always hear about the Max Planck institutions as having a very strong focus on strong focus on natural sciences. You also just had 2 Nobel Prize winners from the institute, so congratulations on that. How is it about social sciences and humanities at Max Planck? Could you tell us a bit about that?
Thank you, Adishri, for bringing this up. So for Max Planck Society, we actually don't focus on natural sciences completely. However, we are very renowned in the field of life sciences and also chemistry, physics, and technology section. But we have a very strong focus on humanities and social sciences, and nearly 10% of our funding goes to this section. And so basically, so I'm mentioning that 10% of funding goes to humanities and social sciences. This amount appears to be pretty small, but it's a huge amount when we talk in terms of like social sciences and humanities. Because, when you're working in the field of humanities and social sciences, you really don't need large equipments. So you don't really need so much funding. So we have very strong focus in the field of, so we have special focus on culture, aesthetics, gender diversity, linguistics, and whatnot. So, we have nearly 20 institutes which are working in the field of humanities and social sciences.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Sagar-Sui. I would like to stay with you. You spoke about funding, you spoke about certain mechanisms. So especially focusing on India, you do have a couple of schemes or projects that have been running for quite some time, whether it's the mobility grants or the Indo-German Max Planck centers, or there's also this partner groups. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And can a researcher from India, a postdoc perhaps, can they apply for this Max Planck Partner Group, or do they have to be an alumni of Max Planck Institutes?
Thank you, Adishri, again for highlighting these programs. So, Max Planck Society, we are like primarily a research organization. So, we are not a research funding organization, but we still have some modules wherein we can fund some of the research projects. And you have correctly mentioned about the Max Planck Partner Group program. So, this is basically for a Max Planck alumni. So, a person who has spent 1 year at a Max Planck Institute in Germany, when he comes back to his home country, and if he still wants to continue this collaboration, and there is also a strong interest from Max Planck Institute in Germany, then this person, along with the director in Germany, can apply for a Max Planck Partner Group. And a funding of 20,000 euros is awarded for 5 years. So in total, a person receives around 100,000 euros to continue the research that he was doing in Germany with a Max Planck Institute. So this is one of the programs that we have. We also have a very special India-specific program, which is called Max Planck Mobility Grants. So this program is only for the young Indian postdocs who have completed their postdoc within 4 years. And within 4 years of completion of their postdoc, they can apply for a travel grant to a Max Planck Society. And they can visit a Max Planck Institute for 3 years, and they can spend 1 month each year. So they get up to 3,000 euros each year for the period of 3 years. So this is the second program that you had mentioned. Then we also have a kickoff workshop. So kickoff workshop is basically like, if you have met somebody at a conference, like a Max Planck director, and you would like to invite him to Germany, or you would like to showcase your lab facilities in India, then you can organize a kickoff workshop wherein you can invite some researchers from a Max Planck Institute. In the meanwhile, if you are like, you want to extend it to other universities as well, so there could be a small percentage of people representing some other German university, or also some research institution abroad, like not specifically India or Germany, but even if you want to invite one or two persons from US, that is possible. And then you can apply for a kickoff workshop. So basically the idea is that if before you start something big, you have to small somewhere small. So basically we give the seed money to start something big probably later on. And then we also have Max Planck Center. So Max Planck Center is so these are basically large facilities. It's more like, a Max Planck Institute based abroad. So basically, if an Indian institute, they want to collaborate with a Max Planck Institute in Germany, they can apply for a Max Planck Center. The German side receives the funding from Max Planck Society, and the Indian side has to apply for a funding at the Indian organization. So they can apply to DST or DBT or some other funding organization. And this Max Planck Center, basically, they run for 5 years. We have one such Max Planck Center also in India. So we have one Max Planck Center at National Center for Biological Sciences in Bangalore, which is working in the field of lipid research. We also had another Max Planck Center at IIT Delhi, but now it is being run as a Max Planck collaboration with the MPI for Software Systems in Germany. So this is it. If you have more questions in this regard, I would be happy to take them up.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Ms. Suri. There are a couple of questions from the audience which go a little bit in specific directions or specific subject areas rather. So metallurgy, materials engineering for Max Planck. I would suggest you you go to their booth in the virtual fair section and ask the representatives there for individual opportunities for your research there. From there, I'm going to now move towards the Leibniz Association. So Leibniz has several institutes, so about 96 institutes, if I'm not wrong. So huge number there. And you, in your introduction, did mention that there has been a specific interest towards India in the field of water technologies, if I got that right. You also did a workshop with us actually a few months ago on the topic of blue economy, which also is one of the strategic topics for India. So marine sciences and coastal sustainability. I would ask a question in that direction. So Ms. Vitols, do you have other cooperation areas that are coming up, or other research areas that are of interest with India for Leibniz?
Yes, as you mentioned, we do have 96 member institutes, so obviously we have a very broad range of research interests and research fields. And we've come to the conclusion that we should really try to tap into Indian young researchers, for example, a lot more than we have done in the past. So this is why I'm here to encourage PhD or postdocs to really look into Leibniz institutes and find a Leibniz institute that suits their research interest best, and then contact the institute. Because yes, we have had quite a strong focus on water management, sustainability, and what marine sciences in the past, and actually this is ongoing. But also, I'm looking into my list. We have strong collaborations in photonics, for example, also in the social sciences. Actually, the director of one of our most important social sciences institutes, the Politics Institute in Hamburg, the GIGA, German Institute for Global and Area Studies, is Indian. So that's good for them. And we would like to encourage Indian scholars to look into Leibniz institutes, because I think we can do a lot better, and we don't just have to restrict ourselves to collaborating in sustainability and water management research. I have had a question here in the panel about polymer research. So one gentleman, I believe, is in touch with the Leibniz Institute for Polymer Research in Dresden, which is great to hear. And I think it was he or she asked about travel funding. So maybe I can mention this here. that since we're not a funding organization, but rather a research performing organization, there is some limited money for mobility funds on the institutional level, but also we would strongly encourage you to check out the Research in Germany site and also the DAAD and the DFG and tap into available funding resources for mobility, for example. So if you plan to come visit for a short stay, plan to attend a workshop, there should be plenty of opportunities for you to tap into these potentials. Adishri, did I answer your question?
Yes, yes. Thank you for answering that. I have a follow-up question on that. So when we spoke about all these institutions, you said look up their website for their research areas. How does it go about research positions? So if there are postdocs or PhDs who are looking for future options, or postdocs generally, how do they go about it? Do they have to look at your individual institutions for positions, or is there a common portal for that?
That's an excellent question. Thank you so much. It's really helpful that you asked that, because we do have a common website for all of our institutes. That's the Leibniz Association's website. And if you go to that website, you will see a list of all the institutes there, and they're clustered according to section. So obviously the humanities are in one section, and the social sciences and economics are in another section. Then you have the life sciences in yet again another section, and then the natural sciences, mathematics, engineering in another section, and then finally the environmental sciences all clustered into another section. So this should help you a little bit. For example, if you're a mathematician, then you should please have a look at the section D institutes. But also, since all of our institutes are legally and financially and also in their content and research interest independent, we are not allowed to tell them what to do and how to do it. It's also good to do a bit of research, either by going through this umbrella website that I just mentioned, or really by looking into the individual institutes' websites, and then see if you find a PI whose research interests meet your research interests. And then if you think you're a very good candidate, contact them directly. And please make sure that you are a good candidate. Please make sure you don't just write, a general email. So, hi, can you just please send me information? These kind of general emails will not generate a response, because then whoever you write to has the impression that you haven't really done your homework. You really want to make sure that what you want to do and that your CV and your credentials fit exactly into that field of research that you have identified at a Leibniz Institute of your choice, and that you can contribute something too. And if you think, hey, I can potentially be a very, very good candidate for that institute, please feel free to write the PI of your choice an email, introduce yourself, send a CV, explain to them what you want to do and how that fits the research area of that institute or of that professor or PI. And then I'm sure you have a very good chance of getting an answer.
So much. Thanks also for those short tips, Ms. Vitols. I'm going to go next to another sort of like group of institutions under Helmholtz, which is the Juelich, Forschungszentrum Juelich. And my question to Ms. Porcius would be that you have a really large number of international projects, like scientific collaborations, but also a large portfolio of international scientists. What attracts international scientists to Forschungszentrum Jülich? Do you have support for people who come from abroad? How is it that you make sure that you get such a portfolio there? And that would be then the question also in terms of an Indian scientist. So as an Indian researcher, what are the benefits for me to come to Forschungszentrum Jülich? I think there's a bit of a time lag for Ms. Portius. So I'm not sure if she hears me correctly. But till then we can move. Till then we can move to the next question. So I also had the same question for Ms. Poonam Sehgal regarding positions. So Max Planck is also a group of institutes, so 86 institutes. Where do you find positions? So how do you go about that? If you could tell us. So people who are here at the event today, if they are interested in applying for postdoctoral positions, how do they do that? And if there is someone who is interested in a research collaboration, do you have your own funding? How does that go about?
So, Adishri, first of all, thank you again for this question, because this is the query which I've also received in our booth today repetitively. So, I would like to mention that, if you go to our website, there is a icon called career. So, in career, there are different levels. So, you can also look for a PhD position there. You can also look for postdoc position there. And also there is position for research group leader. So if you're looking for a position once you are experienced postdoctoral researcher, then there is also an icon which can lead you to these positions. So these positions, they are widely advertised on our job boards, and the website is very user friendly. And once you identify a position, there are steps which are clearly mentioned, that how you have to submit your CV, where you have to submit the CV. So I would like to, so the main problem that we always face when we receive an application from India, that, the cover letters are usually not proper. So they will just write hello, which is not a normal greeting when we approach a German professor. So you should approach them with proper greetings, like dear professor, with a surname. So this is one of the problems that we always feel. And then we also, when we get these emails, then it looks like, a person is writing to 10,000 people, which might not be true, but still this is how it appears to be. So I think there is a bit of homework that one should do when they are applying for these positions, so that the receiver of these emails, they feel that the candidate has prepared his application to apply for such positions. And I would also like to take this opportunity to mention here that every year we organize a grant writing workshop for people who are interested in postdoctoral positions in Germany. So this grant writing workshop basically guides you how to prepare yourself for these positions, how to draft your application, and also how to prepare for an interview. So I would also encourage some of the people that they should join for these workshops, because they can prove to be very helpful. And also, I think you asked me about what other options are there. So, in case they are not able to find a position on the website, so, at times what happens, that the position is not advertised. So they can always find a collaborator. They can scroll through the institute website. And when they find a person who's working in their area of interest, I would suggest that they should approach the research group leader with the brief CV, as well as a cover letter mentioning that why he wants to work at that institute, what are the common areas of interest, and how he can contribute to the research that is ongoing at the Max Planck Institute. And similarly, what he would like to learn from this facility. So I have seen that such cases, like people who have had this approach, they have been very successful later on. So this would be my suggestion, people who are looking for postdoctoral or even PhD or research group leader positions at Max Planck Institute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Suri. We will just, I will just quickly mention an input that we've got from Ms. Eva Portius from the Forschungszentrum Juelich. She has technical problems, but she's communicated her answer for our question. that there are many graduate schools that people apply for and undergo a certain selection procedure. This is for PhD students, but for postdocs, it is through scientific relations that they get to build, and also for job offers, and also can look at job offers through scientific journals and several other platforms. Direct approach to scientists and leaders of the institution also works in their case. So thank you so much, Ms. Possius, for that for that input. I'm going to now go towards Fraunhofer one more time, and we are also slowly coming towards the end of the session. So I'm going to look towards the future a little bit. We spoke about what exists in that sense. So my question to Ms. Iyer would be, what do you see in the next couple of years in the future? What are strong areas in the Indo-German research collaborations? What are strong research areas that you are focusing on, or do you see in your outlook?
Hear your question very clearly, Adishri. Can you just repeat it very quickly?
Yes, Ms. Iyer. So I was just asking about your outlook for the future. So what are the key research areas that you think are going to be important in the future?
If you
Next.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think I understood your question. You're asking me about the outlook in terms of Fraunhofer in India, but also the topics that could be of relevance for international collaborations. I think the outlook for the future for Fraunhofer, or even for any research organization, my colleagues who are here can testify to that this is a very exciting market. And we do see an increase in the number of students going to Germany, in the number of docs and postdocs, because the Indian government is also supporting this area very, very strongly through programs, and the industry looking at innovation in a very strong way. In fact, during COVID, I was very pleasantly surprised that industry is focusing on innovation a lot more. And we have been extremely busy talking to our clients and working on joint collaborations. The topics remain pretty much what we have discussed earlier on: artificial intelligence, digitalization, green technologies, battery technologies. These are really the concepts which will be pretty much on the top of every agenda of every country, because they also relate to the sustainable goals, sustainable development goals. So to that extent, I think we are looking at transportation, sustainable travel, sustainable transportation, also renewable energies, digitalization, artificial intelligence. And more importantly, I think one of the trends that we are seeing is the multidisciplinary approach to any solution. So gone are the days where you looked at either chemical or biology or any one particular area, I mean, mechanical aspect of a solution. But today there is a coming together of various disciplines, and that's what makes it most exciting.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Iyer, for that input. The areas that you mentioned have also been highlighted and were also important in the last Indo-German intergovernmental consultations. So those are definitely of importance for the future. I would like to ask this question also to Dr. Bunsel. So from your perspective, from the Indian side, do you also see these areas, or what is your opinion on this? Are these areas of importance even in your outlook for the future? Dr. Bansal, I hope you can hear me.
I can't hear you. Could you please write the question for me?
We will write the question to you, and then yeah, so you see that in the chat. So if you could, so do you see the same research areas for the future that Ms. Iyer mentioned in her input just now? and that we also shift for towards internationalization of the Indian system. So your views on that, please, for the future.
Itself views Germany as the strongest technology partner, and with some of the organizations who have already come together with CSIR, including Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, and many more institutions which come in contact or in collaboration with us through DRD or through the BMBF. The areas which India or the CSR, I would talk about CSR, is currently focusing on is on those 8 particular themes, which includes water, materials, the healthcare, the ecology and environment. And all these areas are of very, very importance for us when it comes to collaboration with Germany. To be very specific, for example, sustainable energy or the renewable sources of energy, the wastewater management, the battery technology. I think Anandi would have already mentioned about these. These are also part of our collaboration. The other important area is electronics and instrumentation, and as part of the aerospace that we used to have with the DLR, we had a very, very successful collaboration, which we would like to continue with Germany as it used to be earlier. So these are some of those areas which we want to collaborate with. Mostly oriented towards industrial collaboration, but finding more sustainable solutions. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thank you so much for this input. I'm glad that there are common points and also common areas that we identified with both your inputs. So that's good. That's really good to see. We're coming close to the, or rather to the end of this session, and I would like to take up my last question with Ms. Dr. Vitols from Leibniz Association. So Leibniz, of course, also engages in a lot of consultancy, a lot of science communication. You also have these research museums, which are not so common to see around the world and in India especially. So like the science to society, your approach, towards science communication in general, which is also high on the agenda of Germany's Federal Ministry of Research and Education. Could you tell us a little bit about that? What is important in that topic for you? I'm not sure you heard me, Dr. Vitols. No, we do not hear you. Could you please try again? Could you please unmute yourself and try again? There seems to be a bit of technical error there. Maybe we take the input from in the form of a written answer. So we've asked Dr. Vitols to type in her answer so that I can take it up, because this is a really important point that we think should be addressed from Leibniz Association on this topic before we close. And science communication has also been highlighted also towards from the Indian government recently. So what Dr. Vitols is saying, that research institutes are research museums, what I asked about are research institutes, and a great way to combine research and science communication. And we recently came across through one of our workshops that one of the large institutions in which focuses on marine research and ship research. Which is in Bremerhaven. They also have a a museum of Naturskunde also in Berlin. So seems this is an important topic, and I have been told that our director, Dr. Katja Lasch, would give an input here. So I'm going to quickly pull her into this conversation. Since Dr. Vitols has trouble with her technical system. So yes, please, Dr. Lasch, if you would like to give in this input, please.
Thanks, Adishri. I hope I'm audible. So maybe from our point, I think it's a very important question also to close this research day in a way. So science communication is on the agenda of the not just on the German Ministry of Education and Research, but also on the agenda of other countries like India. And I think it's really important that we take care that we transfer our knowledge to society, because science is not just working without the support of the society. And I think that's what is Leibniz standing for, amongst others, in Germany, running 8 prestigious research museums where once they do research on the fields, like in the natural science museums in Berlin, but then also it's really important to have good science communication via museums to highlight the importance of science, to highlight the importance of basic research, so that we as a society see that science is contributing and that the investment in science is really, really important. So it's high on the agenda, and I think that's one of the specific points which Leibniz is dealing with. Into this science communication, but not just Leibniz. We know from all the other agencies, from the institutions here present on this panel, that it's a concern, and that they are working on this. And science communication is a really, really important issue. Over.
Thank you. Thank you for jumping in and giving in that input. That was really important. Also as a message. I think we are running out of time, so we have to close this session. But I would like to encourage all of you to still make use of the time that we have today and go to the networking areas, but also go to the booths where most of these organizations have their representatives there, and you can ask your specific questions there, which we could not take up in the chat, and also find out more information about what these panelists have said today. So with this, I would like to thank all of you. Thanks so much to the participants, but also to the panelists for taking out this time, for preparing this Indo-German Research Day with us, for your inputs. Those were very valuable insights into the research landscape, but also towards the market. And with this, I would like to also thank everybody for joining our event today. We had large numbers of registrations, large number of participation. It was very overwhelming. Thank you so much for your interest. We hope these topics remain of importance to you. You will, of course, this platform will remain open for 1 more month from now for you to access the information that is available on the booths, but also the panels that took place. So in case you or your colleagues were not able to fully attend the event today, you can still do that by logging in for 1 more month after this, and the information is still available. And please feel free to connect with us on our email addresses as well as social media to find out more on the topic. Thank you so much one more time, and I wish you a good day, a good evening, wherever you are. Thank you, and bye-bye.